let's back up a week ago. I am over here. I'm at the studio. I'm minding my own business. I'm getting ready to come and do a show and talk to you guys. My phone rings. It's John Lewis. Do you guys remember John Lewis? John Lewis was a true pioneer in MMA. This guy was fighting in like 96 and 97, real early on, and I met him in 2002. I had followed his career as a fan, and Randy Couture brought him out. Randy was getting ready to fight somebody, and he brought John Lewis into Team Quest, and John stayed for a week, and he and I hit it off. It was real quick. It was just a week. And I haven't seen him since, but I have known him since 2002. Great guy, and I will tell you this, I would, over the years, be watching TV or watching a movie, and I would see John Lewis. And he was usually playing like the same role in different movies. You know, he's got a unique look, so he's in like a fancy suit with his hands crossed and playing like a bodyguard type in the background, this type. But I would see him all the time, oh, John Lewis, cool. He's in movies. So I get a call from John Lewis. And I have not spoke to him, possibly since 2002, right? The way time flies, I mean, possibly. And he says, hey, John Lewis, and he says, I'm working with a director, and they're doing a movie. They want a John Cena type, but they don't want John Cena. Like John Cena comes with a stigma, and it's a bad guy role, and blah, blah, blah. I suggested you. I said, okay, great. Well, thank you. That was very nice. And he says, how do you want to do this? All they're looking for is your phone number, and I'm out, and they take it from there. But do you want to talk to him? Do you have a representative you want to talk? What do you want to do? And I said, no, have them call me. So it's fine. And this happens a lot. I must tell you guys, this happens a lot, and the phone call never comes. It just doesn't happen. Somebody's thinking about thinking and meeting about meeting and talking about talking. It just never comes. So it's 5 minutes later. I got to get up and leave the studio before I can come talk to you guys, go in the other room because my phone's ringing from England. And this gentleman jumps on the phone, and I never caught his name. I think his name might have been John, too. He said his name right off John or Jared. He said whatever his name was real fast and moved on and basically represented himself as somebody that works with the movie. And the movie is being made by a woman named Donna Langley. Now, I don't know who Donna Langley is any more than you guys know who Donna Langley is, but he encourages me, and he only tells me a few things. He's real big on, hey, I can't say anything. We got to have a non-disclosure signed before I say anything, but I just want to test your level of interest. And he goes, I'm probably telling you more than I should, but it'll be directed by Clint Eastwood, and there's a $300 million budget. It's going to be the greatest movie of all time. Oh my gosh, I've said too much. You're right, it's one of these things. He goes, oh, by the way, just so you know we're real, sometime we get off this phone, go Google Donna Langley. You will see she's the second most powerful, this is his words, second most powerful person in Hollywood. I assume Ari Emanuel to be the most powerful. I don't actually know Hollywood, but that's what the TV show Entourage told me. So she's number two. I guess she's number two to Ari, and who I thought about calling. Just going, hey, let me run this past you. But I Google her, and she was just featured in Forbes magazine. She came in number 2 most successful woman in America, only to Oprah, who was number 1. Okay, great. Whatever, but this happens. 10 minutes later, my phone rings again. I gotta leave the studio again. It's a guy calling back, Jared or whatever his name was, and he goes, hey, by the way, I happen to be right here with Donna. She wants to talk to you. So Donna jumps on the phone. And Donna basically says, hey, look, I don't know who you are or why we're even on the phone, but I need to hear your voice. I do this off of gut reaction. I have to have some level of connection here. Hi, I'm Donna. We say whatever we say. It's a pretty quick call. We get off the phone. 2 minutes later, phone rings again, all from England. And all through WhatsApp. I should add that. All through WhatsApp, which I thought was a little bit weird. I thought a big-time movie guy and a multi-billionaire and all that, I thought they would have a phone that was international phone and they didn't have to go through a free downloadable app known as WhatsApp, but this is what's happening. Okay, great. I'm in, and I know it's real because John Lewis said it was real, and he set the whole thing up. I respect John. John respects me. I wouldn't mess with John. John wouldn't mess with me. Just the way it is. So I'm going right along with this, and okay, when we get off the call, she says, okay, great. I'm in England. It's almost midnight here. we're turning in for the night, but I'm going to call you first thing tomorrow morning. Great. So the next day, I get a phone call, and same deal happens. Dude jumps on the phone. Hey, Donna's right here. Put you on with Donna. So Donna wants to know, Donna asked me, she says, look, I do not know who you are. And I'm surrounded by actors. I'm out here in Hollywood, and there's people sacrificing. They're working part-time jobs as waiters so that, trying to pursue and smile and get discovered. They have coaches and acting class. Why would I ever hire you? I looked you up. You've never done anything. And she says, and I'm not coming down on you, but these are the questions that I'm going to get asked. And I need to be able to answer them, and I need to know that you have passion. That's what she says. She kept using the word passion. And passion can be used multiple ways. That word actually has multiple definitions. Hold that thought. I'm going to circle back to the word passion. She says, I have to know that you have passion. I have to know that when we break this down to our final X amount of candidates for this role, which is a major role, I need to know that you want it and you're going to fight for it. I said, Don, I haven't got the foggiest idea how to respond. I grew up as a wrestler. I turned into a fighter, real competition, real sacrifice with real battle and real things on the line. I don't respect actors. You're asking me to jump into a pool that I don't respect. I think somebody that wants to go work part-time as a waiter in Beverly Hills, hoping to get discovered so they can go on TV and pretend to be somebody they're not, I think it's weird. So you're asking me to jump in and fight against a pool that I don't respect. I'm out. I am out. Whoever you want to bring them in. Let's fight it out. But that's where it ends with me. I am not an actor. This is not something I do. I'm a dude in Westland, Oregon. That's it. I love it. Oh, Chael, I love it. That's what I needed to hear. And she says, kiss me, baby. And she goes, mwah. And like does this passion. She goes, kiss me passionately. And I go, mwah. And she goes, kiss again, baby. Yes, kiss me passionately. Mwah. And she acts it out. And I go, mwah. Well, on the third time, and at this point I'm committed, but on the third time that we're playing kissy face over the phone, I'm 50% a guy that's trying to impress and potentially get a job. But I'm also 50% a guy that realizes I'm getting set up and this is getting recorded. Sound kind of cool so that when this does get released, you can save some kind of face. Like this is going on because this is a very weird thing to do. But, hold on, but as soon as that's done, she kicks out of it and she goes, okay, that was great. She goes, that's actually an exercise. And we like to put people through that over the phone to make sure they can flip the switch and they can. She had an explanation as to why we just did this little kissing noise. And I went for it. Okay, that I don't know anything about that. Makes sense. I accept that. She says, all right, here's what I need to do. When are you going to be in California? I said, well, I'm going to be in California next week. Be in Anaheim. She said, what are you doing out there? I said, World Heavyweight Championships on the line. Going to call it for ESPN. She goes, okay, but that you're with ESPN. And I said, yeah. She goes, no, I didn't know when you can be in California for me. When can you be on my time? And she goes, what is your rate? What is your time worth? So I throw out a number. And she says, okay, I'll pay that and I want 4 days. Extend your trip, but these are my days. You will be with me. And she says there is going to, and by the way, I should have included this. She has an accent. And I've never placed whether that's British, since she was calling from England, whether it was Scottish, whether it was New Zealand, I never fully placed it. But there's a little bit to be lost in translation because she begins saying, I will take care of accommodations. And she says it's probably a little nicer than what you're used to, which I interpreted means she's going to get a nice room. And she says, we will do everything from the room. And she says, and you understand, there will be passion and there will be discretion and it will be you and me together spending time. You understand this and I am going to pay for this. You understand this? And I said, yeah, I understand. And so we get off the phone. That's it. And the second we got off the phone, I walk in the other room and I tell my wife, I go, I think I was just propositioned for prostitution and I think I just agreed to it. And she's like, sets her coffee down. She's like, well, start from the beginning. What happened? I go, well, here's what was said. And I can tell you, if I said these words as an American male, If I told someone we were going to be in a hotel, I was going to pay them, there was going to be passion, and there needed to be discretion, any jury in the world is going to say Chael just solicited prostitution. But for some reason, she kind of got away with it, right? She was an older woman, and she had the accent, and Hollywood does weird things, and they were using the word passion earlier, which meant to fight for the role. Open for some interpretation. But I come out, I tell my wife this. I go, yeah, it was kind of weird. And then we had to do this little kissy thing that was like this exercise. And she's like, yeah, listen, I don't know any more about the movie business than you do, but I do know the producer doesn't call the talent. She's like, even if you were Brad Pitt or Will Smith, you're not on the phone with the producer. Your managers are and casting. She's right about that. So, okay. Where does the story go from here? She calls back that night. And it was a little bit more of the same. And she started bringing up Dana White. And she started bringing up Scott Coker. And when she was doing this, again, guys, I am 50%. At this point, I'm more like 30% a guy trying to impress a decision maker. And I'm 70% a guy who realizes he's getting set up. But I don't know. And there is a scam that has been around from the beginning of time, and it will be around until the end of time, and it will never stop working, which is, I am rich and I want to give you money. Now, those words have never been spoken by a rich person ever. That's how they got to be rich. They do not then part with their treasure, but the scam's going to work every time. It doesn't matter who you are, how many times you've been hit with it. You will fall every single time. I got a whole bunch of money. Oh, and by the way, I'm powerful. Oh, I'd like to give you some power, and I'd like to give you some money. Okay, great. So at some point in that call, and she's bringing up Coker, she's bringing up Dana, and I realize something's not right here. And whatever trail she's trying to go down, or hoping that I'll say, I'm not falling for this one. But I am on the call, and she says, okay, so my assistant's going to send you this on Monday. You're going to have all the paperwork and the non-disclosures. And she says, and you understand, she goes back to it, this is going to be you and I in a hotel and 4 days and passion and discretion. And she says, oh, and by the way, if you need anything else, if you need a car, you just let me know. And now I know I'm being... So I throw in, I said, yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I said, get me a Bentley so it matches my other one. And she goes, great, what color? I said, black. She said, okay, great. I'm going to prepare your check. I'm going to get you a check for $60,000. I'm going to get you a Bentley. I will have all of this handled from my assistant. It will be handled Monday. And then she says, now you understand, when I say you're going to be with me, you're not going to be with me. I'm in England. I'm shooting a movie, but you're going to be with my people. I'm going to put my acting coaches, and they're going to work with you, and they're going to report back to me. So everything that gets weird, she finds a way to correct. So you stay on board. So again, I go, I tell my wife what happened, and she's like, yeah, this is a setup to the highest levels. And I go, I get it. I get that this isn't real, but what's the payoff for them? What's the payoff here on a prank phone call? The kissing? What's the payoff, right? So, okay, where do we go from here? Excuse me. One thing about this, and I have been hooked in many scams, particularly in movie and TV business, where I would get a call from somebody and they're a producer. I could tell you so many stories where it's like this, but they all have one thing in common, which is we're going to put you into a role. It's going to be this major opportunity, but it doesn't start filming for 10 months. It doesn't start filming for a year. Then what ends up happening is you end up becoming that person's slave for the next 10 or 12 months so that you can then get this role. Now, this was very young in my life. Eventually, I turned 28 and realized how this world worked and never fell for it again. But one thing that all of these hooks have in common is there's a period of time where they then have you. And I could share some stories, things that I've had to do. This was going to be Monday, as in 2 days ago. This whole thing started last Wednesday. It's going to come to a finale on Monday where I either get the paperwork or I don't. I either get this non-disclosure or I don't. I either get my travel set up and I'm staying somewhere, staying in LA, or I'm not. So which again would be a little out of line how most of these scams go. So I'm laying in bed Sunday, and I decide, you know what? I've Googled this Donna Langley. Why don't I go over to YouTube and type her name in? Because then a video will pop up and I can hear her voice. So that's what I do. And now at that point, the gig is pretty well up. I'm not positive. But when you're a guy that's getting a hustle, you don't ever want to be positive. You just don't want to. Because then you go, okay, I'm a fool. You don't want to do that. So I Google her or I YouTube her and I'm going, man, it could be 10%, 90% no. The gig is, but maybe, the accent and this, it was a little bit hard to tell. So Monday rolls around. There's no email. There's no non-disclosure. Monday evening rolls around. John Lewis calls. And that was the big thing why I thought that this was, right, before I screamed fire, even when my wife's going, hey, you're being silly here. John Lewis was involved. So when John Lewis calls back and he goes, Chael, he said, we got scammed. And I go, yeah, I kind of had a feeling. He goes, I got to tell you, I'm so sorry. He said, but this guy, the guy involved, who was either John or Jared, he goes, I've known this guy 10 years. Now, I haven't spoke to him for 4 years. So when I got the phone call, I didn't really know the voice. It was something like that. I'm changing it just a little bit, but John had something like this where even though he knew the guy, he didn't know. He didn't talk to him in a while. He didn't know. So he said, yeah. And he told me some other names. One that stood out that you guys would recognize, the wrestler, Bill Goldberg. Right, the wrestler. He was one of these guys, and Goldberg calls John Lewis and goes, yeah, John, she was blowing kisses to me, and she was doing this whole thing. I just started laughing. I go, John, I did the kissy face with her. He goes, yeah, so did I. So we're just laughing. Okay, this is great. So, that's the end of that, right? And then he sends me a link. He forwards me a link and texts me, and this has been going on for a while. I think that, some silver-tongued lady is impersonating this, Donna Langley, and it's this whole thing. Well, no, not over so fast. Guess who calls me later? The FBI. Turns out old Donna Langley isn't crazy about being the president of Universal Pictures and have somebody out there offering jobs, impersonating her, and blowing the kissy face. So I'm like, hey, I'm not your guy. Go talk to somebody else. Plenty of this went around. I'm out. And the reason I'm out is it's a prank phone call. I can get where that could be a big deal to somebody and that somebody called you, and I'm out. I grew up on the Jerky Boys. Prank phone calls to me are funny. Some people think they're immature. I think TP in a house is funny. I think that's a harmless prank. Some people think it's vandalism. That's fine. I don't mind a prank phone call. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't really understand what happened here. Maybe they were trying to go down a road and we just never got there. But I'm cool. I'm not in on this. I'm not helping with the investigation. I'm damn sure not pressing charge. It's a prank phone call. It's a prank phone call, guys. You got to call somebody else. And there's plenty of people. Start with Bill Goldberg. At any rate, that has been my week. That was my week, quite frankly. My weekend. Turns out I'm not staying in Anaheim. Turns out there is no Clint Eastwood role in a $300 million movie. But the scam of I have something really great and I'm willing to give it to you lives on.